15 minutes ago, so I sprinted. I sprinted back in order to make this video. But like, this is an all around crazy situation, because there are literally tens of thousands to see Fever players. And I still love it. I still love it, the fact that people are complaining the Fever fans are bad and they're only there to watch one player, and that there's still not record viewership in
A remarkable scene unfolded recently when Indiana Fever players Ari McDonald and Lexi made a scheduled appearance at Chicken Salad Chick, drawing an extraordinary crowd that stretched for blocks. The event, announced by Eddie Fever just days prior, generated unprecedented interest from basketball enthusiasts eager to meet the players. The turnout exceeded all expectations, with hundreds of supporters forming an extensive line that wrapped around the venue and continued down multiple city blocks. This massive gathering demonstrates the intense popularity and dedication of the Fever fan base, creating scenes rarely witnessed in women's professional basketball.
And they're only there to watch one player, and that there's still not record viewership in games not including Caitlin Clark. And if you're one of those people, subscribe. Even if you're not one of those people, you're just watching Caitlin Clark, that's fine too, because no one should police how you watch sport. No one should police how you watch sport. So you could hit 52.9k by the end of the day. That'd be insane. But lads, this is kind of crazy. Carol and Peg, here's Caitlin Clark fans waiting in a massive line to not give appreciation to any other members of her team. Yeah, not gonna lie, but let's be real.
The overwhelming response highlights the significant impact that certain players and teams have had on expanding the sport's reach and appeal. The enthusiasm displayed by attendees reflects a growing movement within women's basketball, where fan engagement has reached new heights and created opportunities for meaningful player-fan interactions. Critics have suggested that such gatherings focus too heavily on individual personalities rather than appreciating the broader team dynamic. Some commentators argue that this type of fan behavior represents a narrow approach to supporting women's basketball, concentrating attention on specific players while potentially overlooking other talented athletes.
Yeah, not gonna lie, but let's be real. Carolyn Peck right now is in the anti-Caitlin Clark grift. And let's be completely honest. We're all to an extent, either overly focusing on her as one player or overly focusing on hating her. But yeah, it is.
However, supporters counter that passionate fandom in any form benefits the entire league by increasing visibility and generating interest in women's professional sports. The argument emphasizes that restricting how people engage with athletics serves no constructive purpose and potentially discourages new fans from participating in the sporting community.
It is a real interesting one here. This is what a fan base is all about. Support her teammates. Like, to say that Lexi Hull, I mean this when I say this, I would say Lexi Hull, in the grand scheme of things, has made 7 figures in the last year. I know everybody's saying, it doesn't pay to be a member of Caitlin Clark's team. Like, yes, it does.
The financial implications of such popularity cannot be ignored, as increased fan engagement translates directly into enhanced earning opportunities for players. Social media followings have become valuable assets, with athletes leveraging their platforms for sponsorship deals and promotional partnerships. Players associated with popular teams often secure lucrative endorsement contracts that significantly supplement their base salaries. Marketing professionals estimate that athletes with substantial social media presence can generate substantial income through strategic partnerships and sponsored content. The ability to monetize fan engagement represents a fundamental shift in how professional athletes build their careers and financial security, particularly in leagues where salary caps limit traditional compensation.
Caitlin Clark's team, yes, it does. I would say easily 6 figures Sophie Cunningham made for that Ring doorbell thing. For the Ring doorbell sponsorship. And people don't understand how lucrative it is, how lucrative social media followers are. If you're able to monetize them, of course. It's very different when it's myself. It's very different when it's myself, because at the end of the day, I'm somebody that is...
The economic impact extends beyond individual players to benefit entire organizations and the broader league structure. Increased merchandise sales, ticket demand, and media attention create revenue streams that support league operations and player development programs. This growth cycle demonstrates how passionate fan base expansion can strengthen the entire women's basketball ecosystem.
I'm somebody that is more on the followers based on the quantity rather than the out quality. Very different for that. And even in my 2K days, when I had 300,000 subscribers, I ran an entire 2K channel about how to play the game without spending money. So my fan base were inherently cheap. So it wasn't like there was too much money involved in that. But yeah, all around, I do have to say, there's a lot of money to be gained. And you can see here, there are literally...
Crowd size estimates varied significantly, with observers suggesting anywhere from several hundred to over 1,000 people participated in the event. Regardless of precise numbers, the gathering represented one of the largest public appearances for women's basketball players outside of game venues, indicating the sport's growing mainstream appeal. The Indiana Fever organization has experienced unprecedented growth in fan engagement, creating a template that other teams are attempting to replicate. This expansion has established new benchmarks for fan interaction and community building within women's professional sports, setting expectations for future player appearances and promotional events.
There is well over, maybe 1,000 people. Maybe 1,000 people. So we're looking, it doesn't matter, I don't know how many times this turns. Probably at about 300-400 at this stage. Maybe 1,000? I don't know.
Comparisons to other teams reveal the unique position that certain franchises occupy within the league landscape. While other markets have dedicated supporters, few can generate the sustained enthusiasm and community participation demonstrated by Indiana's fan base. This disparity highlights the varying levels of market development across different cities and regions. The phenomenon raises questions about how other teams and players might capitalize on similar opportunities to build their own community connections. Organizations are studying successful fan engagement strategies to develop their own approaches to community building and player promotion.
I don't know. Either way, doesn't really matter. My estimation skills don't change anything about this. My ability to estimate does not change the fact that Caitlin Clark and Fever fans is by a mile the biggest fan base in the WNBA. There's no other player. There's no other player here that is like...
Some industry observers note that while such events generate positive publicity, they also create challenges for league officials attempting to maintain competitive balance and ensure equal attention across all teams and players. The concentration of fan interest in specific markets can create disparities in media coverage. The event also highlighted the evolving relationship between professional athletes and their communities. Modern sports marketing emphasizes personal connections and authentic interactions, moving beyond traditional promotional approaches toward more intimate fan experiences. Social media documentation of the event spread rapidly across various platforms, amplifying the reach and impact of the gathering. Videos and images of the extensive crowd generated additional interest and demonstrated the power of grassroots fan organization in promoting women's basketball. The success of such events suggests that women's professional basketball has reached a turning point in terms of mainstream acceptance and commercial viability. The ability to generate significant community interest for player appearances indicates a level of cultural penetration that was previously uncommon in the sport. Future implications include potential expansion of similar events and increased investment in fan engagement initiatives across the league. Organizations are recognizing that community building and player accessibility can drive long-term growth and sustainability in ways ways that traditional marketing approaches cannot achieve. The gathering represents more than simple fan enthusiasm. It demonstrates the transformative power of sports to create community connections and shared experiences. The willingness of hundreds of people to wait in line for brief player interactions reveals the deep emotional connections that athletics can foster between performers and audiences. This type of grassroots support provides a foundation for continued league growth and development, creating sustainable fan engagement that extends beyond individual seasons or player careers. The investment that supporters make in these experiences builds lasting loyalty and advocacy for the sport overall. The Women's National Basketball Association faces escalating tensions as collective bargaining negotiations deteriorate between management and athletes. Financial disagreements threaten to disrupt the upcoming seasons, with both parties entrenched in opposing positions regarding compensation and revenue distribution. The organization currently operates through substantial financial support from the NBA and various sponsors, while many players struggle with modest earnings that rarely generate significant personal wealth. Recent collective bargaining discussions have revealed fundamental disagreements about the league's financial structure and growth potential. Speculation suggests some athletes may coordinate disruptions during the 2026 season as leverage in ongoing negotiation. These potential actions represent unprecedented solidarity among players who feel marginalized by current compensation structures and league policies. Several prominent athletes have publicly criticized league leadership and Commissioner Kathy Engelbert's handling of contract proposals. Players describe initial offers as inadequate and disrespectful, signaling deeper institutional problems within the organization's management approach. The situation reflects broader organizational dysfunction where business priorities conflict with athletic performance and entertainment value. League operations increasingly emphasize messaging and social positioning over fundamental basketball competition and fan engagement. Current negotiations have shifted into public forums, with players using media appearances to pressure management and rally supporter backing. This strategy represents a calculated attempt to leverage public opinion against ownership and administrative decision makers. Athletes rightfully highlight receiving only 10% of basketball-related revenue compared to 50% secured by NBA players. Higher television ratings, increased attendance figures, and rising franchise valuations support player arguments for improved compensation structures. The league's recent popularity surge stems primarily from individual player performance rather than organizational improvement. Television viewership and attendance increases correlate directly with specific athlete appearances, particularly involving high-profile rookies and established stars. Officiating standards have deteriorated significantly, with inconsistent enforcement creating additional friction between players and league administration. Technical fouls and flagrant penalties appear arbitrarily applied, while actual physical infractions often go unaddressed by referees. The organization has become increasingly focused on external messaging rather than core basketball operations. Administrative statements resemble corporate communications more than sports management, while promotional activities emphasize social themes over athletic competition. League leadership needs comprehensive restructuring to prioritize business fundamentals over ideological positioning. Current operations lack clear direction, attempting to balance entertainment, activism, and commercial viability without achieving success in any area. Professional sports leagues typically focus on competition and entertainment value rather than social commentary. The WNBA's current approach alienates potential audiences while failing to satisfy existing supporters who prioritize athletic performance over political messaging. Players plan work stoppage actions if negotiations fail to produce acceptable agreements. Union representatives describe management proposals as completely opposite to player demands, suggesting fundamental disagreements about organizational direction and compensation philosophy. The league has become increasingly dependent on individual star power, particularly rookie sensation Caitlin Clark, whose presence dramatically affects attendance and viewership numbers. This dependency creates vulnerability if key players leave or suffer injury. Revenue generation remains concentrated around specific athletes rather than distributed across the organization. Games featuring certain players generate substantially higher television ratings and ticket sales compared to contests without marquee names. Management appears unwilling to acknowledge the league's financial dependency on individual performers. Ownership groups maintain that players overestimate their market value while underestimating operational costs and business realities. The collective bargaining process has revealed communication breakdowns between union representatives and league officials. Players report feeling ignored and dismissed during negotiations, while management questions union understanding of business fundamentals. Current compensation structures fail to reflect individual player contributions to league revenue. Star performers generate disproportionate income through attendance and media coverage without receiving proportional compensation increases. League officiating has become a significant source of controversy, with players and fans questioning referee consistency and competence. Technical fouls appear randomly assigned while physical infractions go unpenalized, creating frustration among competitors and observers. The organization's focus on social messaging has overshadowed athletic competition, creating identity confusion about primary objectives. League operations emphasize activism and political positioning rather than basketball excellence and entertainment value. Players possess significant leverage through potential work stoppages that could devastate league operations. Without athlete participation, the organization cannot generate revenue or maintain fan engagement, giving union representatives substantial negotiating power. Historical collective bargaining agreements have systematically undervalued player contributions since league inception in 1990. Early contracts provided minimal compensation without union representation, establishing precedents that current negotiations seek to overturn. The league's recent media rights deal and expansion fees suggest growing commercial viability, but financial benefits have not translated into improved player compensation. Athletes argue that revenue increases should produce proportional salary improvement. Management strategies appear designed to minimize player influence while maximizing owner control over organizational direction. Current proposals reportedly contradict union requests, suggesting fundamental disagreements about league governance and financial distribution. Caitlin Clark's impact on league popularity demonstrates individual player value while highlighting organizational dependency on specific performers. Her presence generates substantial revenue increases through attendance, merchandise sales, and television viewership. Without marquee players, the organization struggles to maintain audience interest and commercial viability. Television ratings and attendance figures drop significantly when star performers are absent, revealing the league's fragile popularity foundation. The negotiation outcome will determine whether the organization can sustain recent growth while satisfying player compensation demands. Failure to reach agreement could result in work stoppages that would devastate league momentum and fan engagement. Current leadership appears unprepared to address fundamental organizational problems that extend beyond compensation issues. Management priorities emphasize external messaging over internal improvements needed for sustainable growth and competitive excellence. Players increasingly recognize their collective power to force organizational changes through coordinated action. Union solidarity could compel management to address systemic problems, including officiating standards, compensation equity, and business prioritization. The league faces a critical decision point where continued dysfunction could result in irreversible damage to growth prospects and commercial viability. Recent popularity gains could quickly disappear if labor disputes disrupt seasons or drive away key performers. League officials must acknowledge that current operational approaches are unsustainable and require comprehensive reform. Without fundamental changes to business priorities and player relations, the organization risks squandering unprecedented growth opportunities and returning to previous irrelevance. Recent developments in the WNBA present a striking contrast between two veteran players' career trajectories. Emma Mason appears poised to enter the league while Deanna Bonner faces uncertainty after departing the Indiana Fever mid-season. The situation creates an intriguing narrative about professional decisions and their consequences. Bonner's departure from Indiana represented an unusual mid-season exit that raised questions throughout the league. Rather than requesting a trade or engaging in discussions with management, she chose to leave the organization entirely during an active season. This decision occurred as the Fever were developing around Caitlin Clark and working to establish competitive foundations. Meanwhile, Emma Mason's potential return to professional basketball has generated significant interest across multiple franchises. The former Finals MVP brings championship experience and versatile skills that make her attractive to contending teams. Reports suggest several organizations, including Minnesota, New York, Phoenix, and potentially Indiana, have expressed interest in securing her services. The timing creates an ironic situation where the team Bonner abandoned could potentially benefit from her departure. Indiana now possesses roster flexibility that might facilitate pursuing elite talent like Mason. This development transforms what initially appeared to be a setback into a possible opportunity for substantial improvement. Mieseman's credentials speak to her elite status within women's basketball. Her finals MVP performance demonstrated her ability to excel during high-pressure moments while contributing across multiple statistical categories. She averaged impressive numbers throughout that championship run, showcasing her scoring ability, rebounding prowess, and overall basketball intelligence. The contrast between these two players' approaches to professional challenges becomes apparent when examining their respective situation. Bonner chose to exit when facing difficulties, while Mieseman appears willing to join organizations with championship potential despite inherent challenges in building competitive rosters. Mieseman's skill set would complement Indiana's existing personnel exceptionally well. Her ability to operate in the post while maintaining perimeter shooting range creates versatile offensive options. Additionally, her passing skills would mesh effectively with Clark's playmaking abilities, potentially forming a dynamic duo capable of creating opportunities for teammates. The defensive impact Mieseman could provide shouldn't be underestimated. Her basketball intelligence and communication skills would enhance team coordination on that end of the court. Her ability to guard multiple positions adds valuable flexibility to defensive schemes and rotation. Indiana's transformation from a destination players wanted to leave into a franchise attracting elite talent reflects broader organizational improvement. Clark's presence certainly influences this change, but the front office's commitment to building sustainable success has become increasingly evident. Bonner's inability to secure immediate employment following her departure illustrates the importance of professional reputation in a small league environment. When players abandon teams during active seasons, it creates questions about reliability and commitment that other organizations naturally consider during evaluation processes. The league-wide perception of mid-season departures tends to be negative, particularly when they occur without exhausting traditional channels like trade requests or management discussion. Teams invest significant resources in players and expect professional behavior throughout contractual obligations. Mieseman's potential interest in Indiana demonstrates the franchise's rising profile. Elite players typically join organizations they believe offer legitimate championship opportunities. Her consideration of the Fever suggests confidence in their trajectory and potential for sustained success. The basketball fit between Mieseman and Indiana's existing roster appears seamless. Her experience alongside Clark's emerging stardom could create a formidable partnership. Having a veteran presence with championship credentials would benefit the entire young core's development. From a business perspective, adding a player of Mieseman's caliber would likely increase fan engagement and revenue streams. The Fever have already experienced significant growth in attendance and merchandise sales since Clark's arrival. Another marquee player would amplify these positive trends. The psychological impact on Bonner watching these developments unfold must be considerable. Observing her former team potentially secure a superior replacement while she remains unsigned creates a challenging personal situation. This scenario illustrates how professional decisions can have lasting consequences beyond immediate circumstances. Indiana's front office deserves recognition for maintaining composure during Bonner's departure. Rather than making reactive decisions or desperate moves, they continued building their desired culture and roster construction. This patient approach has positioned them to pursue elite talent. The domino effect of Bonner's decision creates fascinating ripple effects throughout the organization. Her departure provided roster flexibility that enables pursuit of better players, which increases organizational attractiveness to other elite talent. Sometimes negative events create unexpected positive opportunities.